Yeah. G'day everyone, Dave here from Recovery Now. Just our first, what's going to be our first of a series of online web chats that we're having with people that I've connected with that are out there in recovery world. Just to give you a bit of an update, I suppose, until we really launch this thing in a big way, we're staying very specifically just to me and my story. I have been contacted by quite a few people about getting on camera and for them to start sharing their specific stories, and that's great. I'm looking forward to doing that. But what we're just going to keep it to at the moment is just my story until we get some real structure to it. But what we're going to do along the way is have a bit of a yarn to some people that I know personally and people who have contacted me as part of the Recovery Now journey to talk about specifically some of the resources, some of the things that are going on out there in recovery world. And one person that we've got on the line today is a good mate of mine, a guy that I've worked with before professionally on a former contract we worked together on. His name's Dion Jensen. Dion is the founder of Success for Soldiers and has just created a new resource and concept called Your Subconscious Bodyguards, plural, which is dealing specifically with post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Dion recently, only last week, had a launch over in New Zealand at Parliament House for a new book that is released on the subject. And we've got him on the line. G'day, Dion. How are you, champion?
Good, thanks, Dave.
Mate, well done on everything. Great to catch up. We only reconnected a week or so ago. We've both took separate paths when we finished up on that project, but we've both been fairly busy lads, mate. But congratulations on the book launch and everything you've been doing. And I suppose now I'll just be quiet and I'll throw over to you, and you can give us a bit of a spin on what you've been doing and how you've created this new, what sounds like is a very well-regarded resource out there in the PTSD world.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's interesting how you say that we went on different paths and now we're reconnecting, because while we were on those different paths, we're actually both going through stuff. You were going through obviously what we all are finding out now. So full credit to you, mate, for putting this together. But it just goes to show that unless we're talking to each other and we're having discussions, we're not knowing what everyone's going through. So I take my hat off to you for putting this together. With the book, with post-traumatic stress disorder, it's the world's first good news book. So I've made a declaration that, especially in the mental health space, that everything that we go through can be a positive if we choose it to be a positive. So I've created a book and a concept. It's a world first. It got released in Parliament, well received, and it's making its way through the due diligence process of organisations now to use it as a resource. But the main thing about it is it's written by us, people that have actually gone through it, and that's where the power is, sharing your story. And I heard you say in the introduction, we're going to keep it to your story, and that's so important because you have to be that rock for your story to provide context. So anyone that's going to hear this, see whatever you're doing with Recovery Now, when they're going through the first level of understanding what's happening in their head, and that can take a long time, as you know, they need something to provide context to anchor to, and your story will do that for them. So they will get to know you, understand your story for the context, and they'll be able to apply themselves to what you're sharing. And that's what forms that relationship, because the first thing we need to do is slay the stigma and be willing to talk about it. And once we can, in any sort of community, even like this online, I mean, if you're watching this right now, you've got a heartbeat, you can see, and you've got internet, and you've now got access to people that have struggled. And pain's not a competition, trauma's trauma. We're all equal, and everyone's story has value. So that's really been the success of what I've been doing, Dave, is I have fully, and I mean scarily so, exposed myself and completely vulnerable, completely open, talked about sitting on the end of the bed crying, wanting to commit suicide, not being able to get it up, all the stuff that people are too scared to share. And when you came out and said, right, this is what I've been going through, I'm not going to be a victim, I'm going to create this resource so people don't suffer in silence like me, that's where the connection is, because it's exposing yourself, and it's terrifying. So for people watching this, you're lucky you don't have to expose yourself to the level that we have. Hopefully you'll get to the stage where you can do that with yourself, looking in the mirror and just pat yourself on the back. You're doing the best you can, and it'll get better. And the more people that you can surround yourself with that have been through it and are willing to help, the better off you'll be.
Would you like to share a little bit, Dion, about your personal experience, or is that something that people can find it in the book, or just to give people a bit of a background about yourself professionally, where you've come from, and how you got to this stage where you've created the resource?
Yeah, sure. Start off in the army and then through the police and then through Iraq and then into the civilian world and going from that background into normal life issues combined with those other issues. And it's really great being on the call now because people forget that real life goes on around you. When I'm sitting here, I've just smashed chocolate cake with my 4-year-old. My 6-year-old's just come back from a play date, whose hand you can see creeping up my shoulder there. Mm-hmm. So it all comes down to, what's important for you. I won't share my links or my resources and stuff, mate. This is your story and your resource. Further down the track, if any of your people suffer from trauma in that, feel free to share my stuff. But probably, to put it in a nutshell, come from a tough background of people that are supposed to be tough. No soldiers and cops and Iraq operators. And struggled, mate, struggled. Hit rock bottom, failed lots of things. And you amass yourself an army of haters and attackers along the way, which further down your journey, you'll be very grateful for.
Mate, that's fantastic. I think that it's important that we keep these things short and punchy, so we will cut it there. I will certainly put the resources in links below here on our Facebook page, and we'll link this through to YouTube as well. So thanks for your time, mate, on that. Thanks for giving us a bit of an update on what sounds like a really good real-world resource out there. That's something that's in the development phase, and we'll certainly look forward to following your journey as a lot of these resources, and Recovery Now is one, obviously, that I'm working on, that we can keep an eye on how each other's going. And hopefully, mate, this really goes in a direction where you get that real mass exposure for something that, from what I can see from a lot of the independent, the videos that you put up and the analysis on your resource, people are saying it's fantastic and it's making it potentially, it is now and has the potential to make a big difference to a lot of people that have that terrible disorder or that disease.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And it's funny because they're clinical terms, and the first thing I say is it's not a disorder, it's not a disease. It's natural, mate. It's life. It's stuff that we go through, and we only get through it together. So we just normalize it. Part of what we go through, we can turn it into a positive. You can't do it alone. You need help. You need it.
Okay, thanks, mate. Great to catch up. Looking forward to staying in touch, and I'm sure that we'll probably do another little Dion's over in New Zealand. I didn't mention that to start with as well. So whether you get back to the Goldie or whether we could just keep staying in touch like this, mate, we'll certainly keep an eye on how things are going with your subconscious soldiers. Cheers, mate. Chat soon.
All right, mate.